Did you know that approximately 1 in 4 people who apply for a visitor visa to visit the United States are refused? If you are coming to the U.S. for business or for pleasure and you're not from a visa waiver country, you will have to apply for a visitor visa, also known as a B1, B2. This is true if you're coming to the U.S. to visit family, for tourism, or for business. In today's video, I'll be discussing 5 factors that could indicate that you might be at risk of being refused your visa at your visa interview. Factor number 1, security concerns. Okay, so this one's kind of a no-brainer. If the US government thinks for any reason at all that you are a perceived threat to national security, you will be refused your visa. However, this happens more commonly than you think. You may have heard the term administrative processing or being refused under 221G. This is a catch-all term that allows the officer to take the time to double and triple check the credibility of an application. People who are refused for administrative processing are often ultimately approved their visas, but the delay could be a long one. Factor number 2, ineligibilities. If you have what we call a hard ineligibility, that means that you have an independent reason for the officer to refuse your visa, even if you meet the requirements of the category of visa you're applying for. Common ineligibilities include, but are not limited to, most types of criminal convictions, previous immigration violations, drug abuse, and more. If you in fact have a hard ineligibility, you might qualify for a waiver, but if you don't, you're refused. Factor number 3, previous refusals. If you've been previously refused a visa, there is a bigger chance that you will be refused again at your next visa interview. Now, the category of visa for which you were refused does matter, but if it was for another non-immigrant category of visa, such as a student visa, chances are that whatever reason you were refused for that visa will also apply for your visitor visa. If this is your case, you want to be explicitly clear in your next visa interview how the factor that caused your previous refusal no longer applies to you today. Or in other words, you'll want to demonstrate how there's been a change in your circumstances, or at least offer some new information so that the officer is justified in making a new and different decision. Factor number 4, a credible purpose of travel. This is the first requirement for a visitor visa and is why the officer's first question is often some form of, why do you want to travel to the US, or what's your purpose of travel? They need to determine that you have a purpose of travel that is allowable under the rules of the B1, B2, but also to determine if they believe you when you tell them what your purpose of travel is. That means when the officer asks you, why are you traveling to the US? Don't say for tourism or for business. That doesn't help the officer make a decision in your case at all. Instead, tell them a little bit about your plans and your motivations for wanting to go to the US, and the officer will be able to better assess that you have a credible purpose of travel. Factor number 5, ties to your home country. This is the sneakiest factor of all because factors 1 through 4 are all pretty understandable, expected, and intuitive. However, in order to qualify for a visitor visa to the US, you also have to demonstrate that you have such strong ties to your home country that you'd be compelled to return after your visit to the US. This can be especially difficult for people who are young, single, or most commonly, not in a job that would earn them as much money as they could make on the US economy. So that's it, guys. These are the 5 factors that could play a role in whether or not you are likely to be refused at your visitor visa interview. If any of these factors apply to you, or if you would just like a more tailored insight into your specific profile, reach out to us at Argo Visa. That's what we do. It's our area of expertise, is to give you an assessment of your profile and then tailored advice on how to overcome any challenges that are foreseeable at your visa interview.
Don't leave your visa interview to chance. Meet with a former visa officer to get the insights and preparation you need to pass your US visa interview.